to the Future was a film that helped define the 1980s and made Michael J. Fox a star. More hit movies followed, as did a string of awards for his TV series like Spin City. Now, though, his future's increasingly defined by Parkinson's disease.
As soon as I wake up, I can't go back to sleep. I mean, it starts going. So I would say that's the toughest part in the morning is to kind of go, well, I'm up whether I like it or not, I'm up now. And the other thing that happens to me in the morning, first thing is I get that dystonia, which is kind of cramping, and it can be very extreme.
In a rare interview on ABC, he spoke about the new challenges from something as simple as using a toothbrush.
Sometimes I have to put the brush down on the countertop, hold it flat, and get the bristles on, because if I hold it, I'll miss it. It's a moving target. But then once I get all loaded up, then I just kind of bring it up to my mouth and then just let it go.
Remarkably, he also revealed that ice skating appears to temporarily block his symptoms, but only while he keeps moving. There's no cure for Parkinson's, but Michael J. Fox has been fighting to change that. He's gone from actor to activist, campaigning for politicians backing stem cell research, which might offer hope to Parkinson's sufferers. Millions have seen the powerful TV campaign he made a few years ago.
They say all politics is local, but it's not always the case. What you do in Missouri matters to millions of Americans. Americans like me.
Michael J. Fox returns to ABC with an
He devotes much of his life now to raising awareness about Parkinson's. And after many years off the big screen, he says he still watches his old life on the small screen.
At any given moment, I can flick through the channel and see myself. And for a long time, it was just like I stumble on an infomercial or something and just keep clicking. But now, every now and then, I will stop and watch it a little bit, and I'll just enjoy it. I'll just enjoy it for what it is and the time it was in my life. And I don't have any, there's no wistfulness in it, there's no longing in it.
Richard Lister, BBC News, Washington.
Go. Parkinson's disease is a slow, chronic, progressive disease of the nervous system. Symptoms can be mild at first and sometimes be overlooked. 4 cardinal signs of PD include resting tremor, bradykinesia or slow body movements, rigidity, and postural instability. It's more common in men, and the average diagnosis is 60 years old. Go.
All right, with Parkinson's disease and the progressive nature of the disease, there's many adaptive pieces of equipment and tools that can facilitate independence continuing on as the disease progresses. Since you want to maintain independence, each of these tools has a specific function that addresses a specific deficit that goes along with the disease. We'll start like in the bathroom. A raised toilet seat would be good with the grab bars for energy conservation. It's easier to get up and on off of. We have an extendable shower head. Those are easy to install, and they allow you to sit down in the shower with the use of a shower bench as well. And that is another energy conservation technique when you're bathing. And you want to make sure that you're using non-slip pads in the bathtub. A long-handled sponge will make it so you can reach behind and also conserve energy while sitting down, in conjunction with the extendable shower head and sitting on a shower bench. Moving on to eating, because of the tremors in the hands in a lot of patients, weighted utensils and built-up handles are very good to facilitate normal eating patterns. It reduces some of the tremors in your hands, and you're able to have a little bit of control of your food. There's also suction cup plates, which allow stability of the plate onto the table, or you can use a piece of Dyson as well, which will allow the plate not to slide around while you're using it or cutting with a knife. A rocker knife is another thing you use, or a universal cuff with a spoon or fork for whatever dish you are eating. Another weighted tool or weighted cups, again, put the tremors in the hands, or a cup with two handles on it, so that allows for a little more stability. And then for dressing, you want to, again, energy conservation, and you want to minimize movement if you can, because as the disease progresses, you're going to have more, you're going to need more assistance, so that the energy part of it will be very important. So just the basic reacher, you can reach for common items or close, so keeping things close to you and around you is very important well. These also have magnets and a hook on it for close or reaching high or low. Just a dressing stick, if you're dressing, this allows you to pull on your pants or socks. It allows you to pick up things out of the closet or anything like that. And another basic one would be a sock aid, so you're not standing up and fumbling around with your feet. You can just pull that on, and that's a simple device. Medication, there is medication out there to help control some of the symptoms. So pill organizers, splitters, and large bottles with easy open tops would be very beneficial. Communication is another big part. As far as communicating with your family or your doctors, speed dial is important, so you can use a picture dialer. When that ability, communication starts to decline, you can have a bigger keyboard, a built-up keyboard that's easier to see and easier, because of the hand trimmers, easier to select certain letters, and so you could still email or use the computer with some assistance. You could have a bedside table or just a mobility table in general. This allows you to eat in bed or move meals in front of a seat to reduce excessive movements during meal times, or just to keep next to you to keep common items. As it declines again, you'll be in the use of some mobility devices. Eventually you will go to a wheelchair, but there are walkers out there that have baskets, and you can attach pouches to those as well, so you are able to not only bear weight on them and control your movements a little better, but you can also carry along you can also carry items with you that allow you to have movements and conserve energy as well.
Treatment skills for treating Parkinson's disease include functional balance activities, pain management, cognitive strategies, functional mobility training, hand strengthening, compensatory strategies, fall risk prevention, BADL, ADL, and IADL retraining, and instruction in adaptive equipment, AD, and adaptive devices, AE. So a demonstration of hand strengthening exercises can be found in the Occupational Therapy Toolkit available online. And basically you would use TheraPutty to work on hand strengthening, and that would include finger flexion, thumb flexion, lateral key pinch, and lumbrical pinch, which assists in all ADLs and BADL training. Secondly, cognitive strategies for treating Parkinson's disease would be utilizing visual cues and auditory cues to improve movement. So for example, utilizing a mirror in activities such as brushing your hair or brushing your teeth would be helpful to retrain normal movement patterns. And thirdly, another example would be energy conservation. That treatment skill is very important. So utilizing a walker bag or a fanny pack and only carrying a few items that are necessary for the task is also helpful for energy conservation. So that's just a couple demonstrations of the many treatment skills used in treating Parkinson's disease.
Okay, so today we're going to be demonstrating the ADL of eating with a Parkinson's patient. Kristen over here is going to be my demonstrator. When working with a person with Parkinson's, you want to make sure that you're breaking down the tasks and giving them enough time to complete each part of the task. Typically, people with Parkinson's have anxiety and oftentimes get embarrassed by their symptoms. So giving them enough time and making them feel comfortable is very important. Furthermore, Kevin introduced earlier some adaptive equipment that's useful when eating, such as the weighted utensils, the non-slip mat, the suction plate, and we also have a weighted glass over there. So Kristen, what I want to work with you today on is feeding yourself. I know you've had a little trouble at home, just coming from the plate to the mouth without having your tremors, and I know it's causing you a little bit of embarrassment both outside the home and when you're out eating with your family. Mm-hmm. So what I'm going to have you do is, whichever, if you want to use your spoon or fork, whichever you feel comfortable with, I want you to just practice using the plate and scooping it, and hopefully the weighted utensil will help you with the tremors. Oftentimes when working with a person with Parkinson's, the slowness of movement can make it seem like maybe they don't understand, but they do. You just want to make sure that you give them plenty of practice each time you break down the task. Awesome. Ideally, you would want to do that a few times and maybe use different utensils to get them more used to it. Again, you definitely want to utilize the weighted cup if they're having really bad tremors. Typically that will cause spills, and it's a very easy fix for them. Is that good?
Parkinson's disease, some of those exercise protocols include stretching exercises, which the patient can perform by themselves intermittently throughout the day, passive range of motion exercises, which can be taught to a caregiver or be done during treatment by the OTP. Also, there are strategies to reduce action tremors included in the exercise protocols. So again, we're going to be going by our occupational therapy toolkit, which has many stretch exercises on page 509, which can also be found online at occupationaltherapytoolkit.com. So Kristen is here to go over and demonstrate some of the exercises that a Parkinson's disease patient can perform on their own. The stretch exercises include the face, the neck and shoulders, hands and wrists, and trunk and hips. So we're gonna just give a quick demonstration of those stretch exercises, and we're gonna do the neck and shoulders. So Kristen, one of the exercises starting at your neck would be moving your head from side to side. Good. And next, it would be to look up and then to look forward. And pulling your shoulder blades back together and holding them for a certain amount of seconds, however is comfortable for the patient, and then releasing. And then there would be, for moving on to your shoulders, to clasp your hands together and reach them over your head for a certain amount of sets, and that would be determined by the occupational therapist. Also, it is important with the stretch exercises and the passive range of motion not to move jerking movements, and to be slow and smooth and gentle, to never force or overstretch the muscle. And as for the passive range of motion exercises, that covers the similar areas, including neck and back, shoulder, elbow, forearm, wrist, fingers, thumbs, hip, knee, ankle, and foot. And lastly, strategies to reduce action tremors include taking care of yourself, to not overexert yourself throughout the day, and to get a good night's rest, since that's a typical dysfunction with Parkinson's disease. And to brace your arm, so if you're performing an activity, to lean on a stable surface, and to use weighted items during ADLs and IADLs. Also, considering alternatives to reduce action tremors, such as using a recorded device versus writing, and using an electric razor versus a manual razor. And those are some of the exercise protocols.
All right, so earlier Karen had mentioned some different treatment interventions that were very useful when treating a person with Parkinson's. We'd already mentioned compensatory tasks when eating. When you're addressing range of motion, passive range of motion is often very useful. There are several different techniques you can use, and you can find them in the OT toolkit that Karen had mentioned earlier. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate some finger passive range of motions as well as some shoulder. So, when working with a person with Parkinson's, you want to make sure you're spreading out each joint to prevent contractures. Typically, if they have tremors or anything, they might tend to bunch up their hand, and that's not good. So just making sure that they're able to get the full range of motion as much as possible, and making sure their palm is getting spread out. You want to go ahead and abduct the fingers as well as adduct them. And then finger flexion as well as finger extension is very useful. When working with the shoulder flexion as well as shoulder extension are great to use because if you do have rigidity, it'll build up in their shoulders. There's also several techniques you can use when working with the feet and legs, and like I said, you can find those techniques in the toolkit.
This is a list of the DME providers, some sources, and DME stands for Durable Medical Equipment. So the first two websites here are the main websites, and this one is the National Parkinson Foundation, which on this website provides research, funding, community resources, and education and wellness resources. The next one is the Parkinson's Disease Foundation, which you can find their grant funding information, online seminars, and a national helpline. This website here is the Michael J. Fox Foundation, which this website focuses on providing information on living with Parkinson's disease, and it also provides research opportunities. These two websites I'll talk about later, but mainly this one is the DME Supply Group, which provides products that can help with routine tasks with people that living with Parkinson's disease. This one here is the ParkinsonsRookies.org, and I'll talk about that one later. This one here is a website that you can find computer-assisted aids and other devices. This one here is a website that has utensils, clothing aids, medical bracelets, technical resources, computer aids, and writing devices. And the last one is, you're going to see it later, it's from Mayo Clinic, and it's a laser walker device. All right, this is the DME Supply Group website, and some of the products you can find here are reachers, steady right pens, large handled utensils, non-slip socks, and dressing aids, which can possibly help a patient with PD to thrive in their home. And I just wanted to show you guys this because it had a lot of different equipments, and so you can go through there and just see different categories of what you would need, or any adaptive equipment that was necessary for PD. The next one here is the Parkinson's Disease Equipment Loan Program, and the goal of this program was to provide equipment to members when they want to test drive a piece of equipment before they make a purchase, and this might be while they're working with the insurance provider to acquire their own. And all the equipment is for a short-term loan, which is mostly 4 to 6 months. Now for the local vendors for DME providers, this one is Preston Home Medical Supplies, and there's a little picture here so you can see like what kind of equipment they have. But on the side, you can just figure out what you want and then purchase through there. And they also have a delivery service, so you don't have to go to the store. You can actually get it delivered to your home. And the Genesis Medical Equipment, this last one, let's see. It's a full-service home and medical equipment. It actually has affordable prices. This is like the one that I've seen that was the cheapest out of all of them for the local vendors in Jacksonville. And it also has a category keeping it pretty easy for you to figure out what adaptive equipment or supplies you need.
2010, neurologist J. Van Gerpen of the Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville, Florida, told Puckett about a device that would help him walk again. At first, Puckett did not believe him.
They tell me you got a little red line that's going to be able to make me walk through. I was like, ain't no way.
Van Gerpen calls his device the Mobilaser. A laser attached to a walker generates a beam of light which provides a visual cue for patients with difficulty walking because of a neurological disease or brain trauma.
There's a